Community Center. Trustees called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Here.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Griffin.
Present.
Trustee Rudez. Trustee Larry Brown. And Mayor Covington.
Present. We all stand for a pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you just say you want to talk to minutes?
Yes, that you had a concern
Yes.
that your comments
Right.
were left out.
Yeah, my comments were not in the minutes.
Right, and whether or not that could legally be done. It was an error.
It was an error.
It was an error.
In my comments were in the minutes. Okay.
No, ma'am. She said she did not. I had suggested when we're having problems understanding, what the comments are, that we ask for a copy on the report if at all possible. So I did suggest to her that, moving forward.
Well, sometimes I just make the comments. I don't write them down. I just think that they would take like the rest of the minutes. But just for that reason, I have a copy for you tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, approval of the minutes. Then we can go on with that said. Excuse me, clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
We can go on and ask for the minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to,
Excuse me, I was waiting for an answer. You don't mind?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting of Tuesday, May 5th, 2014, and April 8th of 2014.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Griffin. Comments? My comment is that you will later put in what my statements were.
You will get those to me.
No, I didn't write those down. Those just comments I made that night. I thought that they would describe the minutes. I didn't think I had to write all what I said.
No, Madam Mayor, that's not what I'm asking. I was not at the meeting.
Right.
I will check with
her,
with Ms. Kelly
and the tape.
and see what
Okay.
and the tape.
Right.
And those comments. Were there specific comments that you wanted?
Just regular comments that we make during the board meeting. That I made my report, actually. It was a mayor's report. It's not in here.
Like we normally do,
Right.
what you've done over a period of time. Not a problem.
Okay.
Not a problem. I do apologize.
No. Okay, any others? Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Stay.
Trustee Griffin?
Both sides.
Trustee Rudez? Oh. Trustee Larry Brown?
Both sides.
All right. At this time, what from other elected officials? Oh, we removed the part for the lawyer's report. Attorney's report.
Yes, ma'am, you did send it. And
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, report for the village manager, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, residents.
Good evening.
My report will be very brief. I will be attending, along with several elected officials, international convention shopping centers next week. We'll meet with numerous retailers and businesses to discuss building stores and retail opportunities in the village along University Park. We're going to concentrate on the newly created downtown Tiff area and several properties on Cicero. The village's financial statement auditors, Lala Heyman, have completed our 2010 audit report which you'll see later on your agenda. The finance staff are currently completing the college is asking to prepare for the 2011 field work to begin, which we expect to begin this month also. The University Parkway Reconstruction Project, the Central Assistant Road is moving forward. I have received a notice from IDOT that certified that they have received all of our right-of-ways, so it's on track for the June bid. There was the one hang-up. And then the Surface and Regrind Project, again on University Parkway, from just east of the railroad tracks to Crawford. We expect it to begin, we close the streets for the entire week. The project takes maybe a day and a half. Close the streets for a little bit longer for rain delays, so we do expect to have that project completed by the end of this week. That concludes my report.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned there was a light out at Farmview, at the corner of Farmview and Farmview Court. I was wondering if you had a chance to let our Public Works Director know about the situation and when are the anticipated repairs?
I did discuss it with him this morning. The guys are working on those lights. Maybe I don't know if he's scheduled that particular light, but he's aware of it. And we did discuss it this morning. So, and yeah, I work on lights.
Thanks. So one other question. All those boxes that we happen to see in the conference room, does that have to do with the 2011 audit?
It does.
Keep up the good work, because that's a lot of boxes.
Any other?
I have none. We have any more movement on the information on Cityscape?
We haven't got any more movement. I can look into it next week and see just if there is any movement going on there. We had a couple groups who are interested in buying it. I don't know if they made any progress or exactly where they stand with that project right now, but I'll look into it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? I have some, Mr. Lanier, what about the light? They have a light I got reported on, right there on Gordon. The light has been out for a while. And if does someone just tour and let us know how many lights are actually out in the village? And give a checklist for us?
Jerry is raising his hand right now for that. Jerry Hunt is working on that project along with the consultant and engineer, so we hired him on light inventory and working on lights. Go ahead, Jerry, and share what you learned.
Hello, everyone. Actually, I've been doing that this week, touring the streets at night to see what lights are out and making those. And we have last week ran wire on 20 lights that's running down to Burnham and both sides. Pino, we got those lights on, and we are proceeding with others that are out as we go through the summer. So I'm getting these lights together. But if you do have a light that is specifically out, just give me the address and
Also, if you take a look at the corner of Farmview and Farmview Court, according to the resident, that light's been out for the past 3 years and it really deserves to be fixed.
I got that light on in the wintertime. Personally, I would know that you got that one on.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there any follow-up, Mr. Lanier, on public works theft, burglary we had? Any follow-up on that? You got a status on it for us?
Police are currently investigating it.
A question came to me, they called and wanted to know, when we have, which would be really nice, if there's any burglaries, thefts, break-ins, can we do like a robocall so people will be aware that we just had a theft at such and such and such, we just had something happen, that can kind of put people on alert, or they might possibly see this person. And that way they can call and help the police, they say, see something, say something. And if they admit that we do that, is there some mechanism in place that we can start generating those reports to call out to the village and let them know, we just had a burglary or White Oak, blah, 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 someone, please look out, blue car, somebody just grabbed a child, anything. Can you work on that to make that happen?
Yeah. The police are currently working on notifying residents when there's a burglary in their area through flyers and telephone calls. Chief may want to speak on that some more.
to go out throughout the village, that's what I'm talking about. So everyone will be alerted.
We had a breaking or what?
No, I said it was an example.
Oh.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. As far as when a child gets kidnapped or snatched or something like that, you were speaking of, I mean, there's already things in place for things like that on a state level, on a national level, as well as a local level. Something where it happened like that to a child. We have been working with residents. We've been having meetings with different areas. We had some of them here. We continue to have meetings with different inner communities within our community. Different groups. We'll be meeting with Brittany Woods residents. That's next on our list. So we are going through the community, meeting with the residents, and developing partnerships with them. People who will be calling, who live within those areas. That's some of the things that we're doing. Actually, some of the things that we're doing we don't want to completely share. Sometimes we need the bad guys to know what we're doing.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay, the trash cans was in there. We had something Saturday, it was a parade, and the trash cans in the park were just overloaded. They were all to the top, and we got some bags together and started picking it up. So that was Saturday morning, and I got complaints, everybody's yelling liars, I said, I can't answer that, I will bring it up in a meeting. So could you look at that and make sure that the trash is picked up or something, because they were to the top on every can at Craig Park.
Of course.
And they someone took a picture of putty, I think Craig did. Ms. Childers, he showed us something that someone knocked over the potty there, and it was just terrible. You're everywhere. He told us about it.
Yes, ma'am. Those portable washrooms will be removed, and the only time that the regular washrooms will be open will be during baseball time.
Also, Mr. Lanier, budget decisions, I noticed that we did lose 2 people, 2 areas. I'd like to follow up on those decisions. I need to understand why the decisions were made to reduce these departments, and they're not logical decisions for the betterment of our residents. We invested money in training people, and then for the website, for example, and then we have got this person is gone. So that's a waste. You don't put thousands of dollars in a person to have them to do something, and then you eliminate the position. Now we're at square one with that. And I know Trustee Larry Brown had asked for a quarterly follow-up on the budget, and I expect to see that, and I would like to know how we logically did that. And also, we are losing, I got a phone call, we lost to the residents, we lost to LOCUP due to the initiative of the head tax. We're about to lose another one. I'll be meeting with them next week, and they have their company up for sale as well. And that's their logic, what they said they're doing. The HR position, I noticed also, was not funded. For 1 minute it was funded, the next one not. And I noticed on our bills payable tonight, the astronomical money amount that we're paying is, we need to really have an HR person, because that's just too much. I've scheduled a meeting, speaking of savings, with the HR, IT, and finance department on accompanying some technology enhancements to better and expedite our processes, allowing the maintenance to expand our creating an electric SharePoint competency applications to increase complex situations and contribute the knowledge and the budgetary systems to be improved. Mr. Jones and I discussed that along with the software in our departments, and to review our current operational, create sustainable components to decrease expenditures. So we should be meeting with them soon on that. And also I observed a new group that Ms. Morgan has done and has recruited to work around the village to pick up trash, which is commendable. It's a great idea. However, will that be a part of under Park and Recreational Summer Program, so we can make sure we have insurance, a liability, permission from parents, and I noticed Ms. Morgan will be the volunteer, and that's a great thing. So we want to make sure that we're covered, and again, I would like to thank her for that initiative, for working with the kids this summer to do that, and that's a wonderful idea, but we want to make sure that there are a line item for the collections, for the money that we've done, and when we're collecting, and how is that working? Mr. Lanier, have you given permission to that?
That is not, Mrs. Morgan's group of children are not affiliated with the village's government.
But that's a good idea for her to do that. I mean, and for the kids to do something for the summer. Why isn't it embedded into our park and recs? Because there's a collection being made of funds.
They are currently not affiliated with the village government. If the board would like to associate them with the government, they can ask us to place it on the agenda, and we will do that, and they can vote.
Okay, for safety issues, I think it should be, because the children are working, and we don't want an insurance on the kids, and something happen, or somebody asks us why we collect the money, we don't know where it's going. So, there was a collection Saturday. Just a second, Mr. Lanier. So, will you write something to that, or make sure she's a part of it, and make that offer to her? Be a part of that summer program? Or what are we doing?
I'm not quite sure what you're asking. We aren't collecting
You're
any
not sure
money.
what I'm asking? I wasn't clear enough here?
No.
Okay, I will say it again. I will give it to you in writing, because I'm saying there's an improvement. And they had T-shirts on, they were at the park. We had the bridge, and they were Public Works too. Now, I'm not crazy here. Everybody up here knows about it, and they saw it, including you, Mr. Lanier. And you knew about it. I even brought it to your attention Friday. So that bewildered look you have, you should understand it, because I brought it to you personally, and I asked you. So it's not a bad thing to do. It's a good thing for our kids to do. I'm saying, why can't we put it under Public Works, Park and Recs?
Madam Mayor, I had a question for the council. If you don't mind me asking.
Sure, no, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Garland, if an unaffiliated group with the village, if there's an unaffiliated group with the Village University Park, what liability, if any, does the village face?
If it's a private group, then in fact there's no liability for the village. Obviously, if we became involved in it, we'd have to check with our insurance company to see whether they would, in fact, cover it. People who are actually volunteers for a governmental body would be entitled to workers' comp, but that, of course, could add to our workers' comp expenses. So if it's a private group and it's understood that it's a private group, we have no liability.
Okay.
I have one other question.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind. Also, do you think it would be good policy for us to try and stop a unaffiliated group with the Village University Park, which you just said we don't have any liability for, from stopping them doing their good works and letting them be their, quote, public works too? Is that good policy for a village government?
Well, I don't get to make policy decisions, but...
Okay, let me help you out here, sir.
Well, let me finish, but certainly the question is, unless the village is somehow truly interspersed with that organization, I think it's better to leave it as a private organization.
All right, just for clarification, and God bless. That's all I wanted to make sure of. Because I had questions, and that's a good thing, and I hope to the rest of that program. Okay. Any other thing?
I do have a question of the manager, if I'm not too late, Madam Mayor.
No, help yourself.
Why, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Manager Lanier, what I would like to ask, have we made sure that our documents and everything has been signed for our comprehensive plan? If I'm not mistaken, the deadline is May 15th, and we want to make sure that the village is not left holding the responsibility of the financial payment. Yes, we have signed all those documents. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Mayor's report. Okay, my report is very brief. We have Middle County Workforce Development here in University Park. They will be here every Tuesday from 9 to 3 o'clock. There was a request that was made to Mr. Lanier. I guess he didn't read, you forgot the email. But they wanted to make a presentation of a check that we received over $30,000 for our PACE shelter program. Because the shelters have been renewed and the advertisement there, we now have, in 2012, in 2013, we received, 2012, I'm sorry, we received $10,000 in 2013, we received 13. This few months ago, we just received another check for $14,000. And I'm hoping that that's over $30,000 we got for the shelter program. And I'm hoping that this money is being earmarked for the pilot program for our upcoming bus services that we're trying to do. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out Saturday. Thank you, Trustee Grant, for your endeavors with the bridge. We appreciate that. And I also have some literature information on Mr. Morocco, Mohammed Morocco. That was a soldier in the village. That what he did was fantastic. We will be reading something on his behalf tonight. I have his obituary here for everyone who was not able to attend. Oh, that's basically it for me. Committee and Commissioners report. Report of other officers.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees, and residents. Mayor, I would like to take this opportunity to present to you, as well as the board, our wonderful 2014 basketball impounders. You can add that to the wall. This year was such a successful year till our third team got put out of the championship and ended up having to go back, and they won the actual large trophy. One of the things that we try to instill in our coaches is when the kids are out here, they have to play on a fair level. And this community that we play, this is a third and fourth grade level, they put a sixth grader in the game. He had been in the game for about 4 or 5 games. Until one of the parents realized he looks a little bigger than ours. But needless to say, it all worked out. Gregory Murray, which is our program supervisor, fought the fight, and the kids were able to go and they won first place. So thanks to the coaches that allowed that to happen. Thank you, Ms. Laverne. Our day camp is up and running. We will be starting on June 9th. School will be out on June 9th. So if you have children, you have nothing for them to do, make sure they come see us. Our phone number at the office is 708-534-6456. We also will be doing this year a Daddy's Little Girl Dance. It will be Friday, June 13th. 2014 here in Knighton Town Center. This room will be conformed into a dance for fathers and their daughters. So it doesn't have to do with, if you do not have a daughter, you can bring your niece, you can bring your granddaughter, you can bring any girl. But we have enough girls out here, guys, that you can bring, but we would love to have you guys out. So I look forward to seeing Trustee Payton with Ms. Jenkins. I look forward to seeing Trustee Rudez with his grandbaby, baby Linda. Trustee Larry Brown, I look forward to seeing you with Desiree. And last but not least, Trustee Griffin, I look forward to seeing you with your granddaughter. And I'll get you somebody, Trustee. But we would love to make sure all of you all please come out and support the Park and Recreation Department. Thank you.
What is the date again?
It will be on June 13th, and I'll make sure all of you all get that via email.
Someone else?
All right. That's it for me. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else? Okay. I'm sorry, I did have another report of the Springfield trip that we went on. That was Lobby Day, which was very good. I was there for one day. I drove there that day and came back that night. We talked to the governor, and shortly after that, the next day, we were happy to say that I received a fax, and that was State Representative Al Raleigh, and I've also received a fax from our governor asking for our capital projects, and there's fundings for that. So immediately, I sent that back. That was a turnaround date, and faxed him our information. As he said, the governor has recently planned to spend $100 million through the Illinois Job Program. So I gave him very things that we needed. I also gave back all our capital projects that we're pending on. And with the RTA, you'll see a news release, will be in the newspaper. Praise God for that. I received $1 million grant on that. So we're working that down to see how that's going to work with the various capital projects. So we're doing wonderful at University Park. I'm happy to report that out. Thank you. And also I have, sure, I have that still in here, sure, not a problem. And they'll be, as soon as we come back, we'll see what they're going to give us. We faxed it back to them, and I'll give it to everyone who just got it. John is not here. That's why I guess you didn't distribute it. But I sent it to John, and so we can look at our capital projects. They're already out there that we've worked together with, and we'll do that. Okay?
Mayor?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is my time. I missed my time for the elected officials. My brief report.
Not a problem. I'll give that one to you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I found that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources has a state finance grant program. It's the Open Space Land Acquisition and Developmental Program. In reading the various projects that could qualify for funding, I reached out to Val Williams, senior grant writer for Robinson Engineering, to see if she thought we could use these grants to do much needed improvements at Pine Lake. Ms. Val confirmed that we could, and because of the 2013 Presidential Disaster Declaration, University Park is eligible to provide a 10% match because of its disadvantaged status. The funding cap is $400,000, so the total project cost will be a little less than $450,000. We have put together a scope of work pending on Mr. Neal's approval to proceed.
I think we need to look at that. I talked to them. Okay, here's a little bit of that email, and I'll get that to you tomorrow. Okay, right now.
No, I was Tuesday, I'm sorry, man, Tuesday down at Joliet. I want to thank the board of Will County. They voted unanimously to advance us the $400,000 that we had. That's why the road is closed from the golf course to Metro. With them advancing us that $400,000, we're going to get that road fixed, which is in bad needed repair. So I'd like to thank the board of Will County for advancing those funds.
We were out there Tuesday, that's right, I'm sorry, thank you for reminding me. We were there Tuesday for that in Will County, and later on that Tuesday, Transportation Committee, we were looking for money. CMAP I got, and S2P gave us the other money. So you'll see that tonight, we're going to be voting on that funding. So instead of a 50-50 match, we got a 90-10. So thank God for faith. Okay, any other department head? General public. General public? Bill terms?
And Mayor, you generally asked me to indicate to our public that this period of public comment is a 30-minute period, and we ask each person to take no more than 3 minutes. We will let you know when the 3 minutes are up, and we'd like you to stop at that point. If there are more people than we can add tonight, we would add you to the next session. And there always is the possibility of you giving your information to the board in writing, and it will be, of course, distributed to everyone.
Thank you very much for that. And that is within 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we're gone. We get a complaint that people don't want to look at the board meeting that long. So, okay, Mr. Robert Travis.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Village residents. Yes. I'm disappointed that the board of trustees have left the citizens out as far as these committees and committees are concerned. We still don't know what's going on. I asked you several times for a workshop to let the residents know what's going on. You haven't done that. It's very disappointing. That committee is 100% of the residents' function, and you're neglecting to do anything about it. Also, I noticed that you have a legislative liaison committee that's going to be talking to Government State University. I'd like to know, would there be any citizens on it? Because you had mentioned that you have a right to report employees and independent contractors. With the demise of the Human Services Special Risk Committee, the Concerned Citizens Committee has decided to take up the matter and responsibility to provide the following: the job fair, men's and women's health fair, Thanksgiving, and in conjunction with the churches, and a coat drive. So we're going to take the banner because a lot of these things are not going to be on this year. Also, I'd like to find out. I noticed that the village board has taken a lot of trips, and which is fine, and it's paid for by the village. But I think that any board member that takes the trips should come back with a report to the citizens of University Park, filed into the village website, and also a report at the next board meeting. That's not been done. Okay, so we don't know what you're doing. We have to know what you're doing. This has to be a transparent government. Thank you very much.
Which one do you want to start? Okay, sure.
Travis, the board is currently made up of myself as chairman, Trustee Williams, Trustee Griffin, and Trustee Rudez. That is the composition of the board. As far as citizens coming on this committee, there won't be any citizen members, but we will be holding meetings shortly in regards to that committee where we'll look for public input.
And
to you, I went to Springfield at the same time Mary Subtlety did. I also talked to Governor Quinn. He's very interested. I'm pretty sure that you know what I talked to him about. It's my overpass. He's very interested in it. The mayor was there. He said that Governor State, becoming a four-year college, that he is very interested because it's going to be congestion. And he's interested in the upper grade and the lower grade. So, me and this overpass, he will go right along with me, and he will have somebody get back to me within 30 days. That's my
as far as GSU, Mr. Travis, there is a thing called a consortium, and they meet on a regular basis with Governor State University, and they invite and welcome all residents, and they've been doing it for the last 5-6 years or more. And they have a meeting with all the villages, and any residents that's involved or interested in it, you're more than welcome to get in that. I do go and attend those. They've always opened it to us, and I don't know, you have the choice to go or not. And they have different resources that work with the village. Governor State has worked with us as far as our summer program, with our organic plant garden, and they are very helpful. We've used them with our cable station, so it's not like you're not welcome there. I'll let you know when the consortium meetings are. I'll let you, you can go there and just talk and do whatever you like to do. It's always been an open door with that when it comes to that. It has not been something separate. A consortium, it's called a consortium organization. And if you would need something for seniors, children, programs of any type, they're there and they're available. So there's not been a closed door to that. And again, Springfield, I must say that I was given $150 and I gave $100 back because I only went one day. I drove there and came back. It was still in Arizona. I will be refunding $30. I had a cup of coffee and an early lunch. I did not use the other $30 for dinner because we were given dinner. So I can't justify those fundings. So I will give of the $50 I received, I will be giving back the $30. And I did not, he rented a car, so there was no mileage report for me to give on that. Okay, and yes, we had a meeting with the governor. The mayor sat at the table as normal. You can see the pictures or whatever. And there was a lot of conversation at the Illinois Municipal League building, and they gave us updates. We had other dignitaries to talk to us on that. So, with that said, that's my report on there. Report of trips. Mildred Morgan, number 2.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mildred Morgan. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that continues to support the youth in University Park. They are our future. I'd like to have a yes or no answer. Have the street lights that are out front, have they been paid for? Originally, they were supposed to be paid for by the industrial area. Have they been paid for? Are the lights paid for? I'll wait. And also, and the reason why I'm asking this is because some people say things, you don't have to pay no money, there's no charge for things, and what I'm finding out through forwarding, that there's great charges. Money's being spent in so many ways. Thinking about this P.O. box that I keep bringing up information about. I keep hearing there's not going to be one dime that we're going to have to pay. And what's that something? I also heard about someone up on the board mentioning that we could have bought Aqua for $1. Why didn't they buy it? But I'm concerned about the monies that's spent here in University Park on things that certain people say that we don't have to spend money on, and money is being spent, I mean a great deal of money. I would also like to encourage Mr. Dilworth, please, I'm very interested in any and everything that you say, because I did read an article by someone on the board saying that there was $100,000 missing. And then watching you in the meeting last meeting, you're talking about $153,000 difference. Somebody among the three of you guys ought to know where that $153,000 is, and the person that was in this one article mentioned $100,000. So, and we won't talk about others that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on Kids Zone. We're not getting our money's worth here in University Park. And I do hold the trustees accountable. I'm going to be on you like white on rice. And I encourage everybody in University Park to get with your trustees, get with your heads of departments. This is our money that these people are spending, and from things that I'm reading in the foyer, it's not being governed right. We need to keep, there needs to be more transparency and more accountability about the monies that's spent here in University Park. And giving oral reports on your trips is not acceptable. We need written reports.
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Hurd?
I also want to thank
Senator Hurd, please.
the golf course. That was wonderful. The Easter dinner and also the really, really nice. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, officials of the village and residents. My name is Sandra Hurd. I am the assessor for Moline Township, resident of University Park, member of the Finance Committee. I did want to make an announcement for the assessor's office is having their workshop. This time of year is always focused on the tax bill, tax rates. People always have questions about that. So that's the whole purpose of the workshop, is to address questions, issues, so that people have a better understanding of what the tax bill is all about, what their rates, the taxing bodies that are involved, where they see increases, and usually what that is just to even keep with what their bills were the prior year. Whenever the assessments go down, the rates tend to go up, so they can get the same dollars. So we do continue to do that to educate the public and officials. We really would like to have anybody who's here tonight to be in attendance. So on the 22nd of May, we'll have that workshop. It'll be from 5:30 to 6:30. And we would like for you to RSVP to call the number 708-534-6023. Again, that's 708-534-6023. And for anyone who's not familiar, the assessor's office is located at 46 Town Center, right across the hall from the health department. And we like to have the RSVP because we do refreshments and we want to know how many to expect. I have a question. I just heard the village manager say that the 2010 audit are complete. Is that the draft or is that the final? And then will copies be coming to the finance committee? We have a meeting scheduled for next Wednesday. And will there be a management letter when we do get that?
I will bring a copy of the audit to the finance committee meeting, but I also thought that we were going to look for quarterly meetings, but regardless, I can have a copy of the audit. It is final for 2010.
Okay. You mean the quarterly meetings are for the board and the finance committee, right? Is that what you're talking about?
I know, I thought we had discussed meeting every 3 months instead of every month. So maybe I did that wrong.
No, the quarterly meetings that I think everyone's been speaking of was the meetings where we review the budget. Now, we have financials that should be coming out every month. We should be meeting every month for that.
Okay, I just
Yeah, I was at the last meeting. There was not a mention that we were going to be going to quarter. And then I wanted to just comment quickly on maybe a question on what the mayor had mentioned about budget cuts or was being experienced in the loss of some positions. And I didn't recall seeing those in the budget, so I was wondering if these adjustments will show when we do have the quarterly budget review, or will it be in the monthly financials where you see any kind of adjustments for the sake of tracking budget changes? I assume that's what we're having the quarterly budget meetings to discuss budget changes. So that's my question. Will it be included in that time?
Thank you. Vern Williams.
Trustees, attorney, staff, and the village of University Park. I'm requesting that for all trips, and I'm probably dittoing everyone that has spoken previously, that all trips should be in a written format and put on the website so the residents can review at their leisure on what the board does for the village. Number 2, for all meetings regarding University Park, for capital improvements, for upgrades, wherever the board goes, please put on the website if they're open meetings so the public can also attend and get information. It's just frustrating to me that you all go and do things and the village isn't included in those meetings. So that would be nice if you could do that. I'm the chair of the Plan Commission, and as of yet, our committee has not received the revised ordinance of the operation of the Plan Commission. So if that could be forwarded to us, I would appreciate that. Next item. I looked on the agenda, or rather today's agenda, talks about dumpsters and the requirement of only certain multi-residents having that requirement of having a build-out around the dumpsters. Now, I drove around the village, and some of those dumpsters are going to be quite difficult for the dump truck to get to. They're difficult for them to get to begin with, and if you build a build-out around it, that means that they're going to get damaged. And then who's going to pay for that? Is it the village responsibility? I just don't understand how we can even come up with that without even going through the Plan Commission ordinance. How dumpsters should be stored and protected. I thought it was part of the Plan Commission, but obviously I'm wrong. So that would be nice if you all could bring it back to us and let the Plan Commission get back involved in the village. Capital projects. As capital project monies come in, again, will that also go to the Plan Commission so we can review and update the comprehensive plan? That would be nice if we could do that. I mean, the state and federal government says we should, but it'd be nice if you all could include us. And that wasn't negative, I'm just sharing. Programs. We would like to have programs for homeowners who are in the process of nearing foreclosures or are in the process of trying to handle their foreclosures. I don't want our village to become a transit village. I have one more item. I don't think it was 3 minutes, but whatever.
Well, it actually is.
The University Park Bridge. Please provide water and sewer to the west side of the bridge as the construction continues on. You all be blessed. Thank you.
As far as the funds and plans, we will address your issues and have Mr. Lanier update you. And yes, the Planning Commission should be a part of that. Mr. Lawson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, good evening to the board. Baseball is in full swing. I had to come and tell you that. Because our youth need your support. We talk a lot about what our kids are not doing, but put your money where your mouth is and provides scholarships for our young people to be involved in baseball and support baseball. Come out and watch the young people in the games. Our young people need your support. Then I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Covington for her continued support and financial contributions. Always working for you. Thank you, Mayor Covington. Also, I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Covington for the 11 young ladies from Crete High School that went to Springfield. Those young ladies will be recognized at the school board meeting. Thank you for all of your contributions and helping to make that happen. I too went to Springfield and had a wonderful time with those young ladies as the chaperone. And I am not a trustee, but I think for those who would take such trips, and it has been asked by others, that you provide a report. Let us know what you're doing. Don't wait until it's election time and try to give us a whole list of everything you did. We want to hear now what you're doing and how you're working for the community. That we don't hear a lot of. You go and you spend money on these trips, but you come back and you tell us nothing. We have no feedback. And I think the people in this village deserve to have some feedback on how you're spending the taxpayers' money. Also, I would like to know how, if you're asking for a mileage request, then don't fill up the gas at the taxpayer's expense. That shouldn't be two things happening. Either you're going to pay for the gas and ask for a mileage reimbursement, or you're going to ask for a mileage reimbursement and not fill up the gas on our taxpayers. I also had an opportunity to attend the Better Government Association investigative reporting underwritten by Richard Dryas. And what an eye-opener, shining the light on government. And I just want to let you know it's coming to University Park. Because it's time to stop all the foolishness. It's time that we have better government. It's time that the mayor gets to be the mayor. And it's time that we have a board. that we have a board that will support what is going on in our village. Thank you.
Now we go for discussion agenda, unfinished business, resolution of...
Excuse me,
Resolution of...
I asked a question, and I would like my question to be answered. I asked a question, and I'd like for my question to be
Well, no,
answered.
ma'am, you've asked a
I
question.
asked a question,
Well,
and I'd like for my question to be answered.
Well, you don't have a right to have your question answered. You have a right to ask the question, but in fact, these people can decide what they wish to answer or not. Please sit down.
So I don't have to know if these lights have been paid for?
No, ma'am.
My tax dollars?
Ma'am, you made your point, but you must sit down. The period is over.
All right, thank you. We see how
Resolution of
our numbers
unfinished
work.
business, resolution approving a parking ticket amnesty program for unpaid tickets. Is there a motion?
So move.
Moved by trustee Rivera, second by trustee Griffin. Is there any questions? Trustee Brown?
Yes,
Oscar Brown.
yes, I was looking at the email attached to this ordinance from Ed Bradley. Are we going to implement the 50% portion of it? Or the 50-50, like was suggested in the letter, or are we just going to go with this list? Or what is it that you plan on doing? Because it's not specific in the report.
No, it's not specific in the resolution. What the resolution will do, we'll have the police chief go back and talk to MCSI, and look at their suggestions. If they're suggesting because it costs them so much money to put on this program, that they treat it like they do other villages, so you see the breakdown. Pre-2008, $50 for $250 ticket. Pre-2008, $50. From 2008 to 2010, $100. 2011 and 2013, $150. In 2014, $200. So what they've done is share with us how they normally administer these programs, because they will administer it, which include cost of mailing. So if you want to pass a resolution, the police chief and his staff will go back and work out an exact program, bring that back to the board and report on it.
So we could table. So we said we could table this because I actually like the village of Riverdale and what they suggested.
You could table it and ask them to go back and work out a specific program.
Yeah, in that case, that's what I'd like to do on this. And even though I'd like to see this passed today and like this amnesty program passed right away, I think we ought to go with what was done in the village of Riverdale. That looked the best to me, rather than kind of leaving it open. So I'll make a motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Rivera. Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Vote aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Vote aye, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cummings.
Aye. First, new business. First, second, and third reading. The ordinance providing requirements for dumpsters to be screened with fencing in certain multi-family developments. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend this, and if I'm not mistaken, it says with fencing in certain multi-family developments. I would like to make a motion to amend it in certain and all, and substitute certain for all in multi-family developments.
All being clarified, because you had certain here.
Actually, it says 15 residential units.
Right.
Okay.
It's the 5.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I'm fine with that.
to just change the word certain.
No, okay, it'll be fine. Okay. I withdraw my motion,
Okay, sir.
and I'll make a motion to move on with the vote.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Griffin. Questions, trustee?
I had a question before, but
Okay.
Just a
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
First of all, you know, as I've said in the past, the public has a right to know what we're doing. And again, this is up for first, second, and third readings. And, you know, we should put it out there for the first reading so that people can digest it. And Mayor, part of that reason is, let me just point out a couple of things that I have some questions and concerns with as this ordinance is written. First of all, how did this even get started? What's the genesis of this? Mr. Lanier? Okay. Tell me what's the chances? Why are we, we've been, this village has existed for a long time with the multifamily units. What is it that now makes it so urgent that we need to do 3 readings on something that I have some other questions related to? How did this get started?
This item was on the Legislative and Operations Committee agenda, I believe, a month or so ago. And they asked to bring it forward to, so that the board can act on it.
I don't recall seeing it on that agenda. I've heard a number of things that were supposed to be on the Legislative and Operations agendas, and I've gone back and taken a look at those agendas. Most of them were not even on the agenda. So you're saying this is an initiative by the Legislative and Operations Committee?
I believe it was. I can double check it. It was something that was brought to the board. They asked us to place this item on the agenda, and we did do the research for it. The staff did do the research.
The Legislative Committee.
Legislative and Operations Committee. Right.
Trustee Payton.
Yes, Trustee.
You want to address it?
No, I want to address it. Okay.
I yield 30 seconds to my colleague.
The reason this, you ready for me, Bill?
I'm ready, baby.
Oh, watch out now. The reason this was presented is because there are certain properties within the village that sit on our main street who have garbage on certain days just flying everywhere. It's time that the village board takes a stance on dilapidated properties, slum landlords, and start making sure that we get the community that we want to have. Now, when everybody's complaining about there's paper flying all everywhere, the majority of the time that there's paper on our main thoroughfare through town, they come from an apartment complex where there is no covering, where garbage is stacked up to the top and it's flying everywhere. So the majority of the properties in town do have around their waste can, and it's only to ensure that when people drive down University Parkway, they don't drive through University Park and see that, oh wow, there's trash everywhere. There's a property that sits right on the forefront of University Park that's an eyesore, and if we ever want to encourage people from Governor State to come and reside in this apartment complex, I think that we need to do our best as government to clean this place up. The potholes must stop, the crime-ridden areas must stop.
So your 30 seconds is up?
No, I don't have 30 seconds, sir. I have...
So you want my time, though?
I got 3 minutes. But if you want the truth, now I'm going to tell you the truth. Now, if you don't want to hear it, then I'll be through with it.
Well, you started getting the potholes and a bunch of other things, and I just had a question of how it started.
So that's how it started.
So it was part of the, and I understand that we're trying to keep the village a little cleaner, so that it's a worthwhile endeavor. How many, was any research done on how many apartment complexes would be affected by this?
Most of them have.
Any apartment complex with 50 or more residential units, I believe you know.
All right, how many would have to now comply with this if most of them, as Trustee Root has indicated, already have them?
They all would have to comply with it, whether they have them or not. If they don't have them, they'll have to have them built.
Well, how many would have to have them built?
I don't know.
Okay, that would be some worthwhile information, I would think, if we're going to make a decision. The other thing I had a question was the timeline for compliance.
Right.
Do we really expect that once this is passed, that we're going to start fining people $500 to $750 a day for something like this?
Seriously?
That's what the ordinance says.
Well, the simple answer to that is when ordinances are passed, an administrative decision can be made as to when the government will begin enforcing it. So you can put a provision in saying that it doesn't take effect until a certain time, but most communities would basically make an administrative determination. This would be sent out to the complexes, and they would be given a time period.
Thank you for that, but Mr. Lanier, did you answer that too as well? I thank you for your legal area, but then you're the village manager day to day. Could you give to that as well?
I would agree with the attorney. We can give notices and the board can set a timeline as to when we expect them to comply.
Well, let me get through everything here because I see there's some other problems here, notwithstanding Mr. Diamond's comments, because there is no set fee. It's some $500 to $750. So it would appear to me that the application of that finding could be quite arbitrary. as well as the implementation of this. Now, while, and I want to get into some of the physical specifications that have been laid out as part of this ordinance for these, because even though apartment complexes may have some fencing or some barriers, they would, I'm assuming, have to comply with the specifications of this ordinance, because there is no grandfathering, as I understand it, in here. So let me just point out some of the some things here, and let me just say this also, that it would appear to me, if there's a problem with trash being on the ground, that sometimes it's not a result of having fencing, it's a result of people not putting the trash in the dumpster, or are not able to put it in the dumpster because the dumpster is not removed frequently enough. And that's an additional cost when you have to increase the removal of the trash. I know some apartment complexes that have the trash removed twice a day, that there's so much of it, to prevent this from happening. So, you know, from an enforcement standpoint, I would think that the residents who will ultimately pay for this, whether it's an apartment complex, they'll pay for it through their rent, or whether it's a condo complex, they'll pay for it through their homeowner's assessments. Now, on page 1, on section 1, there is the third line down. It says, I'll just read the whole family units within the Village of University Park, which contain more than 15 residential units, whether rental or multifamily owned units, such as condominiums and apartment buildings, shall be required to have dumpsters with a size of not less than 4 feet, with one dumpster for every 6 units. Now, what's a 4-foot dumpster?
These are our garbage collector specifications. The garbage collecting agency. These are the specifications that they provided with us for what they're accustomed to seeing. A minimum of 4-foot dumpster for every 6 units.
What's a 4-foot dumpster?
A dumpster 4 feet.
Is it width? Is it height? Is it depth? Is it all of the above? You know, I think there needs to be, my point is that it needs to be additional clarification on that. And, you know, again, to rush this through for 3 readings to me without some of these basic things. Now, here's another one a little further down. And it says, which must encompass an area where the fence surrounds the dumpsters with a clearance of at least 12 feet from the nearest point of the dumpster. So you're saying you're going to have a dumpster, let's call it a 4-foot dumpster, then you've got to have 12 feet of clearance. Is that 12 feet of clearance all around the dumpster? Or where it says here from the nearest point of the dumpster, which then says you have to have an area of at least 16 feet. And it'll actually be more than that when we start talking about the gate. Okay? So am I reading that correctly? It says with a clearance of at least 12 feet from the nearest point of the dumpster. So I got to have essentially a room width from the point where the dumpster is for clearance purposes.
Once they open a gate for clearance for the truck, again, these are the specifications from our homewood disposal, what they're used to seeing with dumpsters, and what they ask people to build.
It's in our ordinance that you're asking us to vote on. Now, it also says, in the last 2 lines, the minimum inside dimensions are 12 feet wide and 12 feet deep. So what are we going to have? No dumpster at all? If you got to have at least 12 feet of clearance? Minimum inside dimensions are 12 feet wide and 12 feet deep. But you got to have a clearance of 12 feet. So how can you even have a dumpster in there if that's going to be, in fact, the case? Okay. Then we talk about, and so if you take a look at the apartment complexes, which would be good to know how it's going to affect the residents here in University Park, because they're ultimately going to be the ones that's going to pay for this. The owners are just going to pass it on to the residents. So, you know, let's be clear about that. In addition to that now, we're saying we need and why we need to even specify the concrete pad with a 3,000 PSI steel reinforced 5 inch thick is beyond me, but they're also asking for a concrete apron of at least 4 feet long. So in addition to the pad, you need an apron that's 4 feet long. Now we're up to 16 feet minimum.
I believe the 12 feet is the clearance on the enclosure to get to from the enclosure. That's what it's saying. It's not saying.
If I were Stuart Dime, I'm reading it exactly as it is.
The surrounding dumpster must be, when it reads, it says the surrounding of the dumpster must be surrounded by a fence with a closable fence. That's all it says. In an area where the fence surrounds the dumpster with a clearance of at least 12 feet. So it's just saying the area around the dumpster, the area around the fence has to have a 12-foot clearance. You have to have area for the trucks to get up there. That's what it's saying. The area around the fence has to be at least 12 feet.
So you're not talking about...
That's the way I read it.
Yeah, you're not talking about the inside area.
The inside must be 12 by 12, but the area surrounding the fence has to have at least a 12-foot clearance.
But that's not what it says here.
Call up question.
When I read it, that's how I interpreted it.
Second.
First, no, it's according to the Robert Rule of Order. Answers given here to questions presented are based on the rules of Robert Rule of Order. The rules affect the rules of state. The government has no contrary provisions in federal, state, or law, application of society, ordinance decided by law, and which is special rules ordinance has been adopted. The fact must always be kept in mind when reading any of the questions given. It is fairly common misconception that after debate has continued for some time, if any member shouts out question or I'll solve the question, debate must immediately cease, and the chair must put the pending question to vote. This is simply not the case. Any member who wishes to force an end to debate must first obtain the floor by being duly recognized to speak by the chair and must be moved and provisions questions. Such a motion will be seconded and then adopted by 2/3 of the vote or unanimously consented. It is not in order to interrupt the speaker and cries question or call for question. So if there's no person to be speaking, it is still necessary to speak. Recognition. Continue.
May I continue? Thank you, Mayor. So, and again, you may be correct, but it's not clear here. If I were an attorney such as Mr. Diamond or our trustee Oscar Brown Jr. were capable attorneys, I'd have a field day with this in court. So, what I'm asking for is clarification. Now, in addition to this, we have on here that the gates must open 180 degrees. Hinges should be on outside the wall. And then, in the next sentence, it says, to prevent the wind from causing damage during service, a gate top should be located, a gate stop should be located 135 degrees from the closed position.
Nice clean, that's right.
Right, so you're going to require it to be open 180 degrees, but you're going to have a gate stop 135 degrees. Okay? And then you go on to say vertical clearance. Vertical clearance means, most people interpret vertical as this way. Garbage trucks need room to work. Trucks are approximately 32 feet long when carrying the container. They require a vertical clearance of up to 22 feet when dumping the container. Well, why even reference the truck is 32 feet long when we're talking about vertical clearance? It doesn't make sense to me. And also, we have on here that, and this is what it says, the owner or owners and manager of a building which is required to have a dumpster and fencing under the provisions of this ordinance, which fails to take action to continuously comply with the provisions of this ordinance, shall, upon a conviction thereof, be fined not less than $500, no more than $750 a day, during which a violation of this ordinance takes place. So we can really just hammer somebody. $500 a day seems awfully excessive to me as well. Because you know what? Who's going to pay that fine? It's going to be the residents, to their rents or their homeowner association fees. And then it's arbitrary, in my opinion, for selected application. So, Mayor, I would like to I would like to make a motion to table this, until we can get this matter cleared.
Trustee,
It's not debatable.
It's not debatable.
it's
Not
debatable.
on the floor to be, in order to be on the table, it's out to be tabled. Is there a second? A second?
Okay.
Can I, you know, I mean, I have a question with this before we go through all that.
Go ahead, sir.
There's some things in there I would like to see. Number one, there should be a time frame in this legislation, 30, 60, or 90 days for those areas to comply with who need to update. The other thing is the fines. I believe the fines should be incremental based on those individuals being in compliance. Rather than hit somebody with a $500 and a $750 fine, I believe it should be incremental based on the expiration of the time that they have to comply. I mean, that's what I would like to see in this document. And I think it'd be I think it would make it fair. I don't know of all. I would imagine. I mean, the town has been in existence 50 years almost, and I would imagine most everybody has the specifications that we have listed here. I would like to see time frames put in here for those areas who have not complied or have to comply, and incremental fee structure.
And thank you. And to that, I'd like to say, was there a letter? I'd like to see a letter sent out to them, specifications identified, talk about exactly why, and give them, as the trustee says, time frame. We don't want people running people complexes away, or the residents that's residing in there. And as he said, it will fall upon them, just like other things are falling upon, like the lady came from BIMPA and said that now the taxpayers fall on their employees. We don't want to see anything else fall on our residents. The letter, it should have been a letter of compliance. I'd like to see a letter should have been attached to this of what we will be sending out, specifications written on how we're going to implement this, and how the time frame again of how the property manager is going to get this, what we're going to do. It's the due diligence is we're not done in here at all. And again, I think it's really unfair to that person or these people that we're doing this to. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mayor, if the board were to pass this ordinance, we would certainly notify all of the residents who it affects by letter. You can certainly adjust the fine structure. And keep in mind the way it reads is upon conviction. The way these things normally work is that when there's a code violation, they're given several opportunities to comply before they're coming to court. First they get a warning, sometimes they'll get a second warning, then they'll get a ticket to come into our court, and then the judge can convict them or give them more time. So it's not like if you were to pass this ordinance today, we can suddenly go out tomorrow and write these fines.
But Mr. Lanier, why are we rushing? One first, second, third reading. Why can't we just do one reading and then someone made the disrespectful comment, you should have done your homework? It's not that. It's just that give people time. You had this into your committee meeting, now you're going to shove it down everybody's throat. It's first, second, and third reading. We should have a first reading, and that will give you time to send these letters out. We can discuss it and be fair about it. First, what's the rush? I mean, it's 50 years we haven't done anything. Why can't we wait?
And you expect different results.
Why can't we do that? It's not results. I'm saying be fair. Just be fair, Mr. Lanier. I'm asking Mr. Lanier a question right now, sir.
The number of readings that item appears on the agenda is a board decision.
Not an entire board, sir.
And in certain things,
Madam Mayor, can I please be recognized? First, I got to say something to this comment. This entire board is about to decide whether or not to pass this ordinance, so you have input. And you need to stop expressing that to the public.
Excuse me?
You heard me, Madam Mayor.
You're not
The entire board is going to vote on this ordinance. You need to stop expressing that opinion to the public.
What do you mean expressing what? This
You heard
entire
the
board,
opinion.
we're going
You
to
said
vote
part,
yes.
you said
No.
part of the board.
Yeah, it was. they've implemented this. We weren't.
The ordinance is implemented by us voting tonight.
Okay, you want to?
Madam Mayor? No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Actually, I had a couple of questions. I have to say, when I was looking at this, I had to agree with some of what Trustee Hayden was saying. What does PAD mean?
That is the floor that the fence is around. Again, these specs are written by Humble Disposal, who will help them with these enclosures. They're used to working with these enclosures. I did not decide what the enclosure should look like.
All right. So Humble Disposal helps you write out this is what it should be like.
Yeah, they wrote things like they wrote it.
Okay.
Now,
Based on their equipment and what they're.
Yeah, it says yes. It says the fence that surrounds the dumpster with the clearance of at least 12 feet.
Order, please.
Yeah, it does say this. The fence surrounding the dumpster with the clearance of at least 12 feet from the nearest point of the dumpster.
And the way I read it is that
Yeah.
at least 12 feet from the dumpster, the clearance for the truck. They're talking about the truck clearance.
Truck clearance. So you're not talking about 12 feet all the way around the dumpster, and it has to be 12 feet of space.
Right, for the truck clearance.
We're talking about 32-foot truck.
Because I'm looking at, if you had 6 for every unit, I'm thinking about going to the house, and then you have to have 12 feet for each dumpster. That would be quite huge, but you're talking about,
It
can
could
be
be
enclosed.
one big dumpster.
Yeah, but it can have one big dumpster.
One large enclosure.
Yeah, because it says the
They don't have
dumpster.
larger dumpsters.
That was about it. I was also going to go through some of the specifications, so, Ms. Williams would know what we're talking about.
If the board would like to reduce the reading, have a representative from Homewood come and explain how they come up with these specifications.
Oh, wow. All right.
I can certainly give them a call.
But that's not so much the cost. I'm sorry, Trustee. Were you complete? Trustee Huffman, finish? Trustee Huffman.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to amend this to the first reading. Give us an opportunity to clarify these issues.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Pardon me?
Trustee Oscar Brown?
I'm voting aye.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes no.
Trustee Rudez?
Votes no.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye.
And Mayor Covington?
Votes aye.
Okay, this is amended to first reading.
There actually needs to be a motion this was a motion to amend.
Right.
So there needs to be now probably with the same vote, but there needs to be a motion to adopt it as amended.
Okay. Is there?
And that would mean that in fact, what you're voting on is that this would be the first reading.
Yes. Their motion?
So
Moved by Trustee Brown, second. For first reading.
Second.
Second, Trustee Oscar.
A question.
Yes, sir.
I think that too, that some revisions to the ordinance could be in order, and especially make most clear what you mean by the 12 feet from the nearest point of the dumpster, and describe that as an actual clearance around the dumpster for dumping. And that was the main one, and describe what PAD means in the amended ordinance.
If it's the board's pleasure, I'll ask the Homewood Disposal representatives to come to the next meeting and describe in more detail with their drawings just how that proper enclosure works, what it should look like.
Okay, Trustee Huffman.
Yeah, Manager Lanier, I would also like to know every apartment complex, condo complex that this affects, because based upon the specifications, because 12 feet is just not going to cut it. We got a 32-foot truck. Okay, that needs to maneuver in some cases, so that clearance may need to be even more than that. So we need to understand what that is and what the impact that's going to have. I mean, some of these places are pretty tight land-wise. Are they going to have to even acquire land in order to get enough you know, for the size of the pad, the clearance, and the swing of the gate. Because what you're talking about also, you've got a minimum 12-foot, minimum probably 16 feet if you go with this 12-foot clearance inside. Then you're looking at least 8 feet of clearance for the gate swing if you have two gates. If you got one gate, you need another 16 feet. So, you know. Yes,
Okay, all right, roll call.
Madam President,
Yes.
before we do that,
Yes.
on the last vote, trustee
Yes.
Williams passed, and I did not come back to her.
Okay.
So, if I may, since we have not moved past that one.
So, I'm sorry, can you hear?
All right. The last motion we took, which we're discussing from that. Trustee Williams passed originally, and after all the votes were taken, I did not go back to her. So if it's okay, I would like to go back to her.
Okay.
To complete her.
Okay, yes.
Trustee Williams.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this motion is now for a first reading for the ordinance. If it is adopted, it will then, the manager will bring it back to the board when he's prepared to move forward.
Exactly.
With second
Roll call.
reading.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
First reading?
Yes.
Who votes no?
Trustee Rudez.
I'll pass.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye. First reading.
Mayor Covington.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye for a first reading. We gotta clean this town up sooner or later.
All right, next issue is, let me see here. Okay. First, and thank you very much. First, second, and third reading in an ordinance authorizing the execution of expropriate certificate relating to property located at 300 North Central Avenue. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Rudez, second by trustee Griffin. Questions? No questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Could you, since this involves Smuckers, and I know we dealt with them a couple of years ago, it seemed like, and this is stop us. This is for another transfer of the property?
Correct.
Okay. So, and as part of the transfer of the property, they will abide by the terms of the original TIF agreement, is that correct?
They're not transferring the TIF agreement at this point. What they're asking us stockholders to say is that they are going to get to us, that they did abide by the terms of the agreement.
Okay. So, because what I'm looking at here is, you know, we were promised five jobs, and over the life of this TIF, we're talking about $40 million in TIF benefits. 5 jobs, $40 million in TIF benefits. That's a lot. So, I just want to make certain that when the time comes that the terms of this TIF agreement, and this is why I'm now more and more opposed to TIF agreements to give us some jobs, because all we're really doing is subsidizing those jobs. The residents of this village are paying for those jobs. They might as well be on the payroll as executives, because as much money, you know, $40 million over 23 years is, you know, for 5 people. And then if they don't hire them, then we fine them $10,000 per person, a maximum of $50,000 a year. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with this at this point, but if we have to come back to this, and for future TIFs also, I have a real concern.
Any other? Mr. Lanier, am I reading this and understanding that it's a 10-year? How many years have we been on the TIF? 18 years?
This is not to give anyone a TIF. This is a stop agreement to allow them to transfer their property.
Right. And my thing,
Yeah.
okay, is this the one that, again, Planning Commission, as she was saying, did they look at this as well?
The Planning Commission has no role in this.
No, they usually ask a question. I'm just saying, they have a question, and it's just out of respect of what they stand for.
This is
Okay, and
this is undertaking planning and zoning.
Just ask the question, Mr. Lanier, it's all right here. Okay, that's a question. But this again, Smuckers, I know the issues we were having with them, and they weren't giving it. So again, how many people actually, nothing's rolled over, and nothing is rolled over at all with this. This is just a transfer.
This is more of a legal document, which
Right,
kind of
transfer.
talk about more where Smuckers would like to sell their property to new
Right.
owners. And I asked the attorney to clarify, want some sort of certification from the village that they have done the things that they would
Because I
do.
know the drama we had because we erroneously paid them.
Right, and
We
it's
should have
really what
paid
it
them,
said.
and then we came
And
back.
did they pay us that money, and then it
Right.
gets $200,000, which
Yes,
they
we did
did.
get that 200,000, because we overpaid them. We shouldn't have been a part of it originally, and then they came back if you won. So I just want to make sure we're clear on everything, and all the monies are in it. Yes, sir.
As I read the TIF, it says that on the transfer of the property, the cessation, there's a cessation of the benefits of the TIF. So we would have to the new owners, so we would have to negotiate a new TIF agreement. That's correct.
No, that is not.
You just said yes.
That's not correct. That is not correct at all. The property is being transferred, and what they're looking for, they're ready to close on this property. This doesn't affect Smuckers, as I understand it, in any way. This affects the actual owner of the property. This doesn't modify in any way the provision of the agreement that was entered into. It doesn't extend it. What this agreement says is simply that neither the village nor the company has done anything in violation of the agreement. I asked Mr. Lanier to make certain that they had paid everything that was to be paid under the agreement. He assures me that all of the payments have been made, and so this is nothing more than a statement that in fact the agreement has been complied with by the parties. There appears to be no violation of the agreement. They're planning on closing. This has been presented for some months actually to the village. They're planning on closing this transaction later this week. And in terms of the municipality's desire to indicate our interest in having people have normal economic relationships in this community, I would recommend that this be passed.
Mr. Diamond, page 14, paragraph E, says, cessation of reimbursement shall occur if the developer sells, assigns, or otherwise transfer redevelopment site number 4A, other than for collateral purpose to obtain financing from time to time in the ordinary course of its business, without first obtaining the written consent of the village, which consent shall not be unreasonably demanded.
That's correct. And there's no reason to unreasonably refuse other than to get a lawsuit against you, because I've been told that they have complied with the provisions of this agreement. So if you'd like another lawsuit, that would be fine. But otherwise, you have no reason to deny a contract that simply says that you have complied and they have complied. That's all that this document says. And this is a typical document that is used at a closing so that the people can basically say, we're selling you property that is not in violation. I wrote a long letter to Mr. Lanier asking him to double check and to make sure that all of the provisions, the financial provisions of this agreement have been complied with, and he has assured me that that has been done.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond, but that other part, please, is right on that.
Mr. Diamond, you have a right to explain. You have a right to explain.
He's explaining to put his comment in.
He has a right to explain.
We want to hear it. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr.
Right, and if you recall, trustee, my question to him was how that applied. Now, his vigor in trying to protect the village is admirable, but I had a basic question. Because it appears to me that, well, you know, it appears to me that in the past, there has not been the kind of scrutiny that is necessary, such as we just witnessed on this dumpster barrier thing, that could cause the village problems later on. Now, we're giving up, according to what's in this TIF agreement, when it's over with, something like $40,200,000 in TIF benefits. When we're given $40,201,804 of projected eligible TIF benefits, then I have a right to question things.
Sir, you're absolutely right on that. You're absolutely right on that. But the thing is, when you ask the question, he answered the question.
Okay.
And I have another thing.
And I have
another
question.
Please,
No, he had a right to answer the question. You asked the question. And the way you asked the question is that they were doing something wrong.
No, I didn't.
Yes, he did. And he stated,
I asked the question
if you want another lawsuit, then don't pass it.
I asked the question of Manager Lanier about the transfer of the TIF benefits. Mr. Lanier said that there wouldn't be. Mr. Diamond corrected him and said that there would be. And so, part of the question that I had was to Mr. Lanier was whether or not the benefits would cease. My reading of this, and I did read it, says that they would cease.
He explained that it would.
Well, and I understand that. All right. So I understand, you know, that you know, we want to be good citizens and to do business, but it seems like everybody wants to do business with us when they get $40 million in TIF benefits. And giving us 5 jobs, that we can't even fill.
That's why we got Mr. Diamond.
Yeah, right.
That's why he was right.
Now, Mr. Diamond, on Article 4, employment opportunities, this continues on page 14. It says the developer had leased the redevelopment site 4A and the related redevelopment improvements to Smuckers as contemplated by Resolution 2008-18. For the use as an industrial, commercial warehouse facility for storage, handling, and distributing food, products, and other materials. And it goes on to talk about Smuckers. So Smuckers is a part of this redevelopment agreement.
Well, the answer is no. Smuckers is not a part of the redevelopment agreement per se, other than the fact that as a tenant, they are obligated to fulfill responsibilities that are promised for the property. So they are obligated under the agreement, but they are not actually a party. In some cases, as you know, under these TIF agreements, the owner of the property actually is the one that gets the TIF benefits. The tenant may or may not get them in some cases. This is a property that Smuckers is the tenant on. It's my understanding that this transfer of property does not change the tenancy of Smuckers, nor would it change the obligation of whoever is occupying the property to either fulfill the jobs or to pay the $10,000 per employee.
Roll call.
Yeah, let's vote on this.
Roll call.
Trustee Williams? Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye.
And Mayor Covington.
First and second and third reading and an ordinance approving the expenditures of $46,950 for emergency plans to Dwelling Road. Oh, yes. Is there a...
Second.
By trustee Griffin, second by trustee Rudez. Any questions? No, I'm happy. Okay.
Just one comment.
That's okay.
On Gallagher Asphalt's quote, in the notes, it says that work will be completed with one-way traffic controlled by 2 flaggers. And I'm here to tell you that that's not happening. Okay? So, I mean, it's going to be done here in a few short days, so there's no big thing about it. But the quote did say that the work would be completed with one-way traffic controlled by 2 flaggers. So somebody's making a little bit extra money by not having 2 flaggers.
Well, they might do it before it's over.
Okay, Mr. Lanier, would you follow up on that? Yes, sir. We can call Robert Engineer as well. Yeah. Okay. And I'm really happy about this. This is a really, really great thing for University Park. So we should really be proud of this. Finally getting done. Okay? For a roll call, please.
Trustee Williams? Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Votes definitely aye. Okay. First reading ordinance authorizing execution of auditing services from AM Audit. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Rudez,
Second.
second by trustee Larry Brown.
Question.
Question, sir?
This question for Attorney Darman. You know, there were several recommendations that you made to that be accepted by the other side. Are those recommendations in this current agreement?
That was the other one.
I think this was the auditing firm.
No. These are the people who are going to do the audit on the executive session.
Right. Yes, that was Mr. Lanier had highly recommended. Yeah, we should. Right, we should. Okay. You have a question? I'm sorry.
Are these gentlemen from?
Yes, they are. Okay, I'm sorry, trustee Oscar Brown, you finished?
Yeah, you did send out, is this the one where you sent the email about the paragraph 7 in the contract or something like that?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, remind me what.
I wasn't.
You made some contract recommendations?
I believe I did send an email, which in fact did suggest some changes to this contract.
Yeah, are they implemented in this one?
Well, perhaps what you could do, if you wouldn't mind, is to, well, no, I think you can go forward with it, but I think if you simply said that the motion would be to have the attorney review the final version of the contract, and then we can add whatever. They were small matters, but I don't know if they've been put into the contract. So if the motion was done that way, Mr. Lanier and I can get together and get it done tomorrow.
It's already just for first reading.
Yes, it is.
Oh, all right.
Just for first reading, that's why I said first reading. Okay, trustee Milton Payton.
Just 2 things. One is, just for the general public, if you could maybe explain to them what your firm does. And then I have another question just that involves the future, just the payments and how the basis for going forward.
Okay, good evening. My name is Greg Carr, and president of AM Audit. We've been in business 12 years, and we audit the utilities that serve the University Park area. Utilities being NICOR, ComEd, and then we look at your telecommunications provider. That may be a variety of people. We audit what you pay for those utilities, make sure you're paying the proper rates. We audit your franchise agreements that you have with those utilities. You have a franchise agreement with NICOR, ComEd. And in those agreements, you get certain free items. For example, I heard several people talking about street lights and things of that nature. There are certain benefits that you get in those franchise agreements that these agreements, often being 30 and 40 years old, haven't been looked at in a long time. We look at those agreements, compare them to your billing, and make sure that you're getting the benefits of those agreements and clean all of that up. So we look at your cost, your franchise, and then the third thing we look at is if you have utility taxes. In some cases, you have taxes on gas, electricity, and telecommunications. We look at those and make sure that the utilities are indeed remitting to you the proper amount. Now, this is something that's only been available to be done in the last few years. Prior to 2010, you could not audit the taxes that were being collected for you on behalf of 9 Point ComEd. But now, as a result of some of our activities with the state legislature, we got a law passed, and now you can actually audit the tax collections to make sure they're correct. And what we do is take county information, compare it to the utility information, and make sure that all of the parcels that are in the incorporated boundaries of University Park are being assessed the proper taxes. And what you'll find is in many cases there are errors in those, and so we get that corrected so that everyone's paying it. Your ordinance's original intent was that everyone in the community pay these taxes. And what happens is in some cases they fall off the tax rolls. Another thing that happens is deregulation, and this is probably the biggest impact is deregulation has created a situation where people can opt out and buy from a third party and avoid your taxes completely. And so one of the things we look at is your ordinances and see if there's ways to correct that situation and bring those people back into the tax rolls. Because what's happening is deregulation is eroding your tax base on gas and electricity, not so much on telecommunications, but on gas and electricity. So we do those three things. We do it on a contingent fee basis. So if we find nothing, it costs nothing for the University Park. And we share 50-50 for a 36-month period. After that period of time, there's no further fee due us. We don't bill you until such time as you actually receive the benefits of our audit. We provide you a report prior to any implementation of our findings. We provide you a report that outlines our findings, and then you instruct us, you authorize us to implement those findings, and we do all of the behind-the-scenes work to implement, work with the utilities to make sure that they actually do as we instructed or we found that they need to do these changes and so forth. And as far as work on the behalf of the municipality, there's very little work required. Basically, we require a single copy of each of your bills for gas, electric, and then we work with the utilities to get the actual past year's worth of utility bills. We go back 24 months and look at those, looking for errors, billing errors, looking for mistakes with the franchise agreement, looking for overcharges, areas where there may be refunds are due, and we actually did implement all those findings for you, so very little work on your part. So that's quickly a very thumbnail sketch of what we do.
Yeah, my question was how far back, they were building this for 10 years ago. It's only 24 months.
Well, now it depends on the error. If for example, if there was an error in some of your streetlight situations, we can go back as far as bills. We have in some cases gone back 7 years and gotten refunds from the utility. They had 7 years worth of bills where they could prove that they were paying. Utilities don't keep their bills beyond 2 years for obvious reasons. But if you have bills, we can go back as far as, if there's an error, we go back as far as you have bills.
Now, just going forward, to go forward 36 months.
Yes, sir.
The fees that are generated is based upon what you find, and then it's just projected out. So, for example, if we were, say, build a new building, those additional utility savings would not be included in that. Or if we were to shut down a facility, would those still be part of the basis for your...
No, because we wouldn't have audited those. Anything we audit would be subject to that. But if you do something new, you change something along the way, that wouldn't be part of the agreement.
Any other questions?
I have one. I just have one. I wanted to know when you said, I'm sorry. When you said that you share 50-50 with what, that's what in addition to what you find, not what we're ordinarily getting already.
The answer is it's the savings.
It's the savings.
The savings.
Yes.
All right.
It's the savings, yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Fay.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Both sides.
Trustee Rudez.
Vote aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Both sides.
And Mayor Covington.
Vote time. Thank you. Okay. A resolution of condolences in memory of Muhammad Morocco. And in order to do that, I'm going to ask that Trustee Milton Payton read that, seeing how he was one of the originators of our TV station.
Yeah, Khalid and I go way back from when the cable station was really a warehouse, past Pizza Hut, past Chicken Shack, then converted to a warehouse that we worked together with Robert Travis and some other folks after the Million Man March, and we put together plans and redeveloped the cable studio until to what you see is there today. So it's really an honor for me to be able to read this resolution, and I thank you for that, Mayor. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Resolution of condolence in memory of Khalid Muhammad Morocco, formerly known as Gregory Dunn. Whereas today we celebrate the life and memory of Mr. Khalid Muhammad Morocco, who moved into the village of University Park with his families in the 1980s and immediately began to carve out his indelible mark in this community. And whereas, although at the time of his death, Mr. Morocco was not a resident of the village of University Park, we pay tribute to him for many years of dedicated service and his contributions to the health and welfare of this community as a volunteer and later as a contractual cable studio coordinator. And whereas Khalid Muhammad Morocco, with his quiet, unassuming nature, touched the lives of many by exhibiting honesty, respectfulness, and strength of character, as only he was able to develop a relationship with Governor State University, which allowed him to acquire interns to work at the cable studio at no cost and help start the youth broadcasting programs known today as our young broadcasters. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor, Clerk, and Board of Trustees of the Village of University Park that our condolence and heartfelt sympathy is extended to his entire family in this great loss, and that a copy of this resolution, once duly passed, is presented to the Muhammad family as a token of our condolence and appreciation, and placed on file with the official records of the Village of University Park, submitted this 13th day of May, 2014. Mayor Vivian E. Covington, Dorothy D. Jones, Village Clerk.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this, and the family will get a copy of this. And the words cannot say how fantastic this man was to us and what he's done for us in this village. And again, we really honored the family. They were very, very, very grateful for the services being held here. Thank you. And I have some obituaries in the event someone did not get them. Thank you. Roll call. Roll call, sir.
We need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Move back.
Trustee Griffin, second by Trustee Rudez.
All in favor? Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Both sides.
Trustee Rudez.
Vote aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Both sides.
And Mayor Covington.
Both sides. Appointments here. No, sorry, resolution. Okay. A resolution acknowledging receipt of the 2010 audit. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
By trustee.
Trustee Griffin.
Trustee Griffin. Second by trustee
Yes.
Larry Brown.
Trustee Rudez.
Yes. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Both sides.
Trustee Rudez.
Both sides.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Both sides.
And Mayor Covington.
All right. Appointment for you this evening. With concurrence of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Theo Brooks will be appointed to the Board of Fire Police Commission as a member of the chairperson, and his term expiring December 31st, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Larry Brown, second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Oscar Brown. Questions?
No more of a comment, Mayor. I'm going to oppose this appointment. Mr. Brooks was on the Police and Fire Commission before, and as a result of his involvement and leadership, resulted in a lot of conflicts of interest that adversely affected this village's legal position that cost us quite a bit of money. And personally, Mr. Brooks was very disrespectful when he came before this board to state his position on the number of people that we were going to have on the Police and Fire Commission. While he's a good man and he was a former police officer, I just really personally cannot have or support someone that would disrespect you, Mayor, and this board the way he did when he came before us publicly.
Roll call. Any other comments? Roll call. And, well, you know, I thank you for that because since a little bit going on, period.
What you going to make a motion to table?
No,
I can. I'll make a motion to table.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second, yes. Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Both sides.
Trustee Rudez.
Both sides.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes no.
And Mayor Covington.
No. Okay.
Motion to table carried.
Okay. Bills payable. Attached to your approval is a list of the general operating expenses for the Village of University Park, following the grand total of the everyday expenses for the last 2 weeks on April 23rd to May 13th. General operating funds is $487,576.03. Special purpose funds, $30,081. Road and bridge, $5,722.65. Town center is $6,581.13. Golf course, $53,814.04. Capital project, $64,683.86. And tip 5 is $215,605.66. And totaling $864,064.37. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Rudez, second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Johnson.
Question.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Manager Lemire or Mr. Moore. I don't know his last name. So anyway, the reason I'm asking,
Jones.
Mr. Jones.
Jones.
To help clarify and to get an answer for Ms. Moore, the light repairs, this company here, we owe them quite a bit of money, correct? It's check number 81941. They're the ones that installed the lights, correct?
No, they did not install the lights, sir.
Who installed the lights?
I believe Western Electric.
It wasn't electric, yes. Okay, it was electric,
yeah.
Okay, but I know I keep seeing
What was
them.
the question on the check?
Okay.
The check number was that. Which was the amount?
The amount is
4529.
I think it's 545.29.
Yes.
Check that you mentioned.
They just do light repairs.
The supply house.
Parts.
81941.
Hessel Jefferson.
Oh, the light repair.
I believe they repair, they repair, signal lights. Okay, stop lights, but those aren't full invoice, right? Pretty sure this is
They
legal.
normally just supply parts.
Just
Parts.
Parts.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to see them a lot. And
That was $545?
yes, that's correct. And check number. It's for, I believe it's 81951, no, 81950.
Chevy Express.
Chevy Express, G350. Chevy Express G350. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, there's 3. 27, 113, 49.
Check with auto repairs. I don't have it with me. I'll have to get back to you on what that's for. I don't have it with me.
Well, the Chevy Express, I guess that's one of our cars. Trucks.
It's one of our cars.
One of your cars, okay. The amount of that was $2,713.41.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
And 81897. I'm sorry, 818. Civic Plus annual fee for hosting and supply. $5,904.36.
pardon me? What the question is?
818, is Civic Plus.
That's minimum answer. $5,904.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. And the post.
Civic Plus, I don't know who Civic Plus is, ma'am.
I believe they host our website.
They do.
Yeah.
That's what hosting is. Yeah. It's not anything that our course is hosting. Technical, technology.
Okay, so we just have one host that does the...
That's the bid that it sits on for all the data in here.
Is that IT?
Okay.
Yes.
Why don't we still have someone from IT come in?
Mr. Lemire, you have any other questions?
Never ever.
Okay.
Mr. Bolden, Jeff, Ray, Sherry needs to be here.
Check number 81878. This is Ansel Glick, Diamond and Bush. Can you tell me for what month that is $29,509.35? I thought I saw an email where they were way behind it, and I know the trustee Larry Brown had asked the question.
Monthly, you said.
Right.
One monthly.
We don't agree with paying that much, but he does deserve to be paid if he's doing the work. You know? So that's what January. We're January, February, March, April. Yeah. Okay. All right. The other one was 81907, which is Davis Staffing for $21,205. Is that temporary employees?
That we had you've been out a little while, but we had a liability Davis Staffing a few months ago about close to 100,000. We've been working to get that number down. That number is substantially down now. Yeah. We still use Davis Staffing only on a temporary basis. We really don't use them at all, but if we have a emergency need, still don't want to use it.
Well, You must have an emergency of 21,025, what's that, that's the David staff?
No, that's not emergency, what that is, that's a.
Past?
Past due, like.
Okay, 21,000. Okay, any other questions?
So how much do we still owe?
Which we still owe?
Why are we still paying David staff?
Okay, well, the reason why we still paying David staffing, because we go through a cash flow shortage this time of the year. We're pulling that bill down. We're not using hardly at all anymore. I think right now we're probably around $40.
Okay, so you're behind in the bill.
We're still behind.
Any other trustees, any other questions from the trustees, please?
I asked
You
them
have
quiet
any,
to be.
excuse me, you have any questions?
No, I asked them quiet to be.
Okay. The other ones, we can't, we just going through the bill, sorry. I have a question here. EastCom, are we current with, we just put dispatch is 21,216, when I go to the meeting, sometimes it's embarrassing that we aren't current. Is this making us current with EastCom, 21,216?
That should be. Mayor, I'm not sure if we're totally current. We're probably close. What happens is that at this time of the year, we have a cash flow shortage. We cannot pay everybody on time. We do the best we can.
No, because they ask me that question all the time when I'm there, and I wanted to make sure we're almost there at 21,000. And I know Tilly, we owe them quite a bit. I know it was over 400,000, so it's 38,000. I'll just come in the office with you and check rather than detain everyone tonight. Anyway, also, if we have to, let me see, what's one more? Oh, this random drug testing, how often are we actually doing that? And then what's this? Is this just, like most places, we just come in one day, get drug tests? We're spending this $110. Is this just on employment or just randomly doing it?
We test for employment and suspicion.
Okay, how often do you do that?
And when they're first hired, and when there's reasonable cause.
Pardon me?
When anybody's first hired, and when we have any reasonable cause to suspect anything.
I've never heard of it. I never knew you did that. I've been asking that forever, but I didn't know you did that. Didn't see how you do that if you do it too. Okay, any other questions, concerns?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Check 81890, some Bureau of Weights and Measures for scales. Are these for our truck weight enforcement? Is this the not the certification, but the calibration of our scales?
Yes, it is.
And I don't see this very often on here. Do we do this? Is it supposed to be once a year, twice a year, annually, biannually, or what?
I'll let the chief answer that. I know we did talk about during our budgeting process is being more aggressive with weighing trucks, and one of the things that he has to do before he gave specific assignments during certain hours was to make sure that the weights were properly calibrated.
I'm asking that question because we've had the scale since 2006. And maybe there have been other recalibrations, but this is the first one I've seen. We've had them 8 years. So that's why it's glaring to me. All right.
Oh, I have one more, I'm sorry. On the $568.50 for Mother's Day flowers and Beecher, who did we give this? Is this something that the golf course gave off Mother's Day? Did they give flowers out? What's the check number? I'm sorry, the check number is 81885. $568 in Mother's Day flowers. Just give it out. I don't recall.
It's going to pull the endorse for you.
Yeah, I'd like to see that one. I don't recall if you recall. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions, concerns? You can give it to me. All right. Roll call, please. The bill's payable.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payne.
Aye to pay the bills.
And Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Votes aye to pay the bills.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye.
And Mayor Cummings.
Votes aye, okay. Board of Trustees comments from Trustee Williams, please.
I'm going to keep this short tonight. I'm not up to par. coughing my brains out. Throat is sore, so I just want to let the public know that we have an entrepreneur class starting in the spring to the public of the University Park, and it will be starting soon. So if you would like to be a part of this class, all you have to do is sign up with John Townsend at Fort Townsend and let us know. Those are my comments tonight. I hope to get back with you next week. What is it?
Okay. Oscar. Okay. Trustee Griffin.
Wait, she has to ask the question.
Ready. Okay, Trustee Griffin.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. I want to.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, get started. Go ahead.
You warmed up and on the runway. I step out the way. Story of my life. I'll be brief. I'm glad to see that you're going to be doing that entrepreneurial class. I used to be a score counselor for 10 years for Governor State, Prairie State College, and Olive Harvey College, a small business development center in Chicago. It's a very worthwhile thing too. I used to teach entrepreneurial management also for Prairie State. I'd just like to kind of go back to a comment that Trustee Oscar Brown Jr. made a little earlier about the work that Ms. Morgan is trying to do with the kids to make our village look a little better. It's good to have volunteers, people that are willing to do that. This is a side note. I just want to make sure that Ms. Morgan understands the liability that she exposes herself to if one of the kids should somehow get hurt. And I bring this up that, I've been a big volunteer of activities here at University Park probably for about a third of my life, really, for over 20 years. And I was out with an ordeal that I was going through with a sciatic nerve problem, so I was not here to express my opinions when the board eliminated most of the volunteer activities here in the village by eliminating most of the committees and commissions, particularly some of the active committees and commissions without any consultation with the leadership of those committees. So I just kind of find it kind of contradictory that on one hand we would support the efforts that Ms. Morgan is trying to do with our kids and trying to keep our village beautiful. And on the other hand, slap all the people that have been working so hard to put things together for this community. Everything from garage sales to block club parties to carnival and family fling, concerts at Pine Lake, Thanksgiving dinners, coat drives for needy folks, job fairs, medical fairs, family fun day for the kids, and their families to help gauge their health also. And so, I think it's very sad that happened. Now, on the other side of this coin, you heard Oscar Brown, Robert Travis come and say that, you kind of stomped out part of the spirit of the people that were trying to do some things, but there's a new sheriff in town, and it's called the Concerned Citizens Committee. And this is a committee that has been active for, 19, 20 years now in University Park. And fortunately, they heard some of the concerns of, some of the concerns of our citizens and have agreed to serve as an umbrella organization
were some of the things that the that the Human Services and Special Events Committee was trying to do. In addition to that, I'm quite proud because I'm, a big proponent of education and improving the quality of our education for our kids. And they eliminated also the Educational Advisory Committee. This was a committee that we were looking at developing an academic Olympic team to make our kids proud to be smart. We were looking at doing things like trying to expand the International Baccalaureate program throughout the school district. And so it's just not at Coretta Scott King, which ranks in the, at least, I forget what the latest is, but it was, I think they were in the top, in the 97th percentile in the state of Illinois. They leave that school and then they go to some of the other schools, so we need to take that magic that they've developed there and move it to some of our other schools. So, I'm very disappointed that this board, the people, the Legislative and Operations Committee, did not see fit to even talk to me about that, to see what we were doing and what they were planning on doing in place of it. So I'm extremely happy that the executive board for the Concerned Citizens Committee, which meets the second and fourth Tuesday each month down on next to PK Pantry on Western and University Parkway here, or Exchange as some people still call it. So we're going to carry the torch, and hopefully we'll become the voice or a voice for University Park. Mayor's always harping on us. We need to attend the board meetings and do some other things. Well, we're going to try to do things, maybe not necessarily by attending the board meetings, but developing a voice that the village can hear. And just to show you that when we were meeting, we had the president of the school board and the secretary of the school board that were meeting with us to try to, because they saw the same kind of thing. And I'm sure the vice president, who is Maurice Brown, will also be joining us in that effort. So I'm glad to see that the citizens will not be silenced, that we're going to be moving forward and we're going to be better than ever. When this whole thing came up, I'll go back to the thing where they said ready, fire, aim. And when they originally proposed this at the Legislative and Operations Committee, I came and my comment to them was, well, if you're going to eliminate all these things, what are you going to put in its place? Well, they didn't have anything. There were a lot of committees, obviously, that were not meeting, but there were a number, and particularly the Human Services and Special Events Committee, probably the premier committee in University Park in terms of trying to do good in the hood. So, the Concerned Citizens Committee, it meets the second and the fourth Saturdays of each month, 11 to 12:30. I'm going to pick up that banner, and I'm so happy for that, and they have my full support. The final thing is we passed by, we had a lot of stuff on our agenda tonight, but we passed by the audit, and you didn't hear a peep out of it. If you read this management letter, and the Finance Committee will have a chance to do that, you'll find what a disgrace our finances and our accounting was prior to these gentlemen taking hold. Because we're talking about 2010. This is before Mayor Covington was elected, before I was elected, before Trustee Williams was elected. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. That's fair. And so, is it okay if I talk when you start talking? Can I jump in? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Just saying. Okay. So, but that may be fair to say. There was some dissidents that were also on that board, particularly Trustee Griffin and the mayor, who didn't like what was going on. In fact, Trustee Griffin was responsible for me getting back in the arena because I kicked back and was chewing on my piece of straw, burnt from all the other stuff that I was doing, and he was concerned about what this village looked like and what was going on and how he didn't like it, and the lies that we were being told and the misrepresentations and so forth. And so he dragged me back and got me involved back with the Finance Committee. And when we kept asking those questions, we find now documented proof of how bad things were, to the contrary of what we were told when people came to this podium here and said how great it was. You know, we were told in the Finance Committee how we were one of the tops in the state. This barely passes for basic kinds of things. But I'm proud to say that Joe Jones and Mr. Lanier have taken the bull by the horns. We've got a ways to go. We'll talk about this more in the Finance Committee, because a lot of the things that I repeat that I haven't been able to get to, because he didn't have even the staff in order to do some things. So with that, Mayor, I'm just going to end my brief comments and turn it over. Thank you.
Trustee Oscar?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for everybody watching and viewing. First, to all the mothers out there that didn't get a chance to do this in the month of April, I'd like to wish you all a happy belated Mother's Day. And appreciate your mothers while you have the chance, because nothing can really take their place. I had to comment on a couple of things that I just heard. I actually plan on making that the end of my comments, but I have to say something. When you look at the old Education Advisory Committee, its responsibility was to go to the school board and report back to the board what occurs at school board meeting. That was its #1 priority. I've been here for 6 years, never happened. If somebody was a liaison to that committee, that never happened. These back to collect programs and other things that we're talking about, not part of that ordinance. Something that could have been fixed and should be fixed and will eventually get fixed. But that's not what it said. Because we just had a big argument for at least an hour talking about language and the way ordinances read. We didn't do it. We didn't follow it. It didn't say that in the committee, Education Advisory Committee, that was eliminated. Those committees and commissions did not meet. That Education Advisory Committee maybe met twice during the time that Trustee Payton may have been the liaison, or not, that he was just harping on. Human resources and special events, we need our programs to get professional. It'll be handled under the Department of Parks and Rec, under the capable hands of Ms. Childers. Our programs will continue. I just cannot sit back and listen to certain untruths. I can't listen to somebody say, hey, look, Joe Jones is doing such a great job, when the person he supports gets in the newspaper and says, oh, there's $100,000 missing. I have to write a letter to the newspaper. It's ridiculous. You have to be consistent about what you do. If language is important to you, about the dimensions of garbage can disposal units, it should be important about the things that are in those ordinances for committees and commissions. There's a time for it to get fixed. It will get fixed. But we can't stand by and let people say and do whatever the heck they want and not answer. Because that is plainly not right. I was on this board in 2007. There's only 2 new members of this board. That'll be the trustee to mine. That'll be right. Thank you. That'll be Trustee Liz Williams, and that'll be Trustee Milton Payton. That'll be person to my left. Every other person was on this board at the time these audits are covering. There's no excuses for us not to know. I'm glad it's improving now. Some of us even questioned it at the time. I will include myself in that, because I constantly bark, especially our previous village manager, to get the audits done so we can know what to do. I know I did it. I'm glad they get it done now. I'm glad it'll be caught up sometime between April. But you can't say that somebody just got elected. She was here. And that's just the way it is. we're here to improve things. We're here to make things better. And the fact of the matter is we're going to work to do that. And sometimes those things are going to be rough. It's going to mean making tough decisions. It's going to mean cutting out things that don't work or hasn't worked for some reason. I don't know what that reason was, but when it's time to cut them out, it's going to cut them out. We're going to get this garbage ordinance in place. It needs to be a little clearer because, as Trustee Petty pointed out, language is important. And when we do restart this Education Advisory Committee, there'll be language to talk about these magnificent programs that weren't a part of its function and the function that it had, it didn't do. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Griffin.
Good evening, everyone. I want to wish everyone a happy belated Mother's Day to all the women. And what Oscar Brown said is true. Could never do without moms. Moms are the greatest thing in the world. What Trustee Payton said is also true. Now, I don't have to beat my own horn. If you go back and look at the tapes since '09, I was one of the previous mayor's staunchest opponent. You can look at the tape. I think I was one of the, Mayor Covington was then a trustee, Trustee Lewis, Trustee Diane Brown, Trustee Sherry McGuire, and I believe Oscar Brown. So when you say that, that I sit here, no, I ask more questions and kept asking questions and was shut down to a degree, but I kept asking questions. I stood against anything that I thought was wrong, and I'll do that now. When I feel it's that's something, a detriment to the village, I don't care who's sitting in that seat, it doesn't matter to me. If I don't feel it's right, I'm not going to vote for it. That's period. I don't care who's there. It's about the people of University Park. That's what I'm for. On the matter of the dumpsters, some of the same people sitting in this room. Trustee, you see all that? Talk about the garbage along University Parkway coming out of, the complex. Thank you, ma'am. Coming out of Brittany Woods. Yes, I wanted first, second, and third reading, yes. And ain't gonna back down from it, yes. You can make the adjustments as we go. You make adjustments on everything else. I'm agreeing. It should have been a 90-day grace period or 45 to 90-day grace period. I have no problem with that. That could be worked out. Could have made an adjustment to the amendment. Hey, I'd like to amend this to be this, to do this. It could have went on and had it. That's the way I feel. Everybody uses this village as a tool, and that's not a good thing. I felt it was right for the first, second, and third reading, and I'm not going to take that back. You should have had it for first, second, and third reading in there. It's all right for them to come and take over the complex and make money as they want, but they don't want to do what's right. They have garbage flowing all over, and then it leaves the complex. It's in an open field. That's all right. No, it's not all right. No, it's not all right. You work public works to death. They got to come, leave what they're supposed to be doing to clean up other areas. That's not right. That's not right. They should have been, it should have been passed tonight. That's how I feel. But it wasn't. Then we have to make an adjustment of that. That's fine too. But I'm tired of everybody coming in here and using us as a tool and think it's all right to get away with that. On the matter of Mr. Diamond, they start talking about your bill, but I don't care. My mom told me, you get what you pay for. We had another attorney, if that's what you want to call it. didn't have the expertise that this man has. No way, form, or fashion. No way. So, when he was trying to explain, and when Trustee Payton was going over the ordinance or the TIF, all he was doing was explaining, no, whereas he looked at it one way, Mr. Diamond being a lawyer know what it meant. No, it doesn't mean that, it means this. No, that doesn't mean that, it means this. And that's his job to tell us what's right. And if it costs paying him more, I got no problem with that. Every place we go when we try to bring businesses to this town. Who's your attorney? Oh yeah. Sorry, no disrespect. I call you Mr. Diamond. Oh yeah, I know Stu. They call you Stu. I don't. I call him Mr. Diamond. But everybody knows him. Wherever you go. Oh yes, yeah. Oh, you got a good attorney, Stu. Yeah, I know Stu. I've been on him for years. That's what we need to help turn this village around, and I think we are in the midst of turning around. We got the I-57 interchange. It's finally been let. I seen nobody here go over. I mean, I was so upset with Applied Systems. They played games with us. After, way before any of us got on the board, when none of us up here on the board, we gave them a tip that's utterly ridiculous now. You don't even get that. We paying for their people to go to school. Their employees, none of us. We paying for their employees to go to school. When we wanted to get the right-of-way, that last right-of-way, they went from 40,000 to, how much, sir? 116,000 for a right-of-way. They kept playing games with it. So that's why the project is delayed. It should have been signed off in February, January, February. It just signed off about 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's how they play games. Everybody uses us as a tool. And it's not right. So with him here, hey, I think you should do this. This is how I think you should do this. This is how I think you do this. This is what I'm bringing you. This it is here. And he always, well, if you vote this way, it means this. If you vote this way, because some of this stuff is technical. If you vote this way, this means this. That's it. He doesn't give his opinion. He said, all I can do is advise you. This is how you, this is what this means. This is what this means. And it's up to us to vote. And I thank him for his expertise. Ms. Morgan, I really believe that some businesses have paid for those lights. Most things, I think those are, I'll find out, but I'm pretty sure that it's coming out of the general fund. We're paying for that. We, the taxpayers, are paying for those lights. But I will have that information for you tomorrow. I'll get it in for you tomorrow. Again, happy belated Mother's Day to all your mothers. We love you. God bless you. Those are my comments. Thank you.
I'll try not to belabor my point too long. The majority of our residents always ask for change. Change is difficult for some people to accept, but change is necessary. And I'm so thankful that there is finally a unified majority that does have the best interest in this community at hand. Yeah, we face adversity, controversy, and everybody says that it's personal, but you know what? It's always business, never personal. It has to be business for the residents of this community, not just this community, but the region. We don't just represent University Park. We're not just a small little old town with a couple of folks in here anymore. This is a regional community. We have to work in a region, and we have to work outside of what we've been doing to get something different. The committees and commissions, sure. There were some hard decisions made, but when you look at the numbers, when you look at the stats, when you look at everything that's supposed to be there, they just weren't there. So do we sit back and say, well, we've been doing it for 40 years, we must continue it because that's our history, or do we finally step up and step outside normal area and do the right doggone thing, and let's just do something different. When you see special events committee, and if you look at the numbers and the money that was spent, it just doesn't, it's not justifiable. So you want to talk about taxpayers' dollars? We're not going to talk about the taxpayers' dollars, because the people in this community who watch this program to try to find out what's going on, we're failing them greatly, because they don't want to come here and hear 1,000 questions, because they elect us to hopefully be informed when we come to the meeting, that we've done our homework, that we've asked the questions prior to the meeting, that we're well informed, and we can come and conduct a business meeting, and that's all they're asking from us. I apologize that we have to go into these long debates about things that should have been worked out way prior to our meeting. I apologize not just for myself, but for the entire board and to the community, because the community needs true representation. And we will do that. And these projects are coming to, it's going to be a lot of good things happening at University Park. So we don't want to constantly hear people saying, well, this one group has out a newsletter, this other group has out a newsletter. It's just confusion to the people. There's one newsletter that has the true facts of the village works, the village of University Park, and that's the newspaper that the village sends out to everyone's home through the mailbox. There's conflicting stories, there's people being misled and plays on words. People, you're going to get a lot better than that. I just ask you guys to continue to support the efforts of the majority of this board and continually move this community forward. We have to be innovative and creative, outside the box, and have an actual goal that we're going to go to. And you know what? Happy Memorial Day, because we won't be until then. That day is over with. Thank you.
Trustee Mary Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Those who are in attendance, those viewing. There's a lot of comments made here tonight, and I could sit here and comment on each and every one of them. However, in the interest of time, as you know, our meeting is not going to be done after this. We will have an executive session, which puts us probably maybe another hour. Just some things that came to mind when I first got on the board in 2005. We were 2 years behind in audits. And my question at the time to all those who were in charge of our daily operations was, do audits affect our budget? I was told, no, it doesn't. Well, I'm glad that I had the intestinal fortitude to check into other communities and other interests, especially spoke with several lawyers and other accountants, and they said it does. Audits do affect your budget. And from that point on, I believe I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but here we are 3 years behind now in audits. Before, and we're still in arrears. However, we have made progress, and that was my mantra of when we're going to get our audits. When are the audits going to be done? We had several meetings I remember of the 04, 05, 06, and 07. Not an easy process, and the outlook of those is not very appealing. It is embarrassing, because we as a community should have done a better job with our finances. Going back to Mr. Morocco, and I couldn't have. I think this is probably one of the most phrases, probably one of the more better phrases I've ever heard, is go placidly among the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all people. And I thought about when I heard that, I thought about my mom and her struggle in raising 5 children, and just moving through from where I came to where I am. And I have to say I owe everything to God and my mom. And you know, just this Sunday was just a blessed. I was blessed to be able to be here to have those memories of my mom. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that each of you honored your mom, whether she is here or not. And I think we all should do a better job of being on good terms with all people. Life is too short, and if you don't, the world's going to keep turning. But that's truly all I had to say this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I pray everyone had a great Mother's Day and was joyful and blessed. Thanks again to Brown's family for the prestigious artists having residence here. We're going to start a historical wall in University Park and those that made a difference. And I would like for all residents in our town, we have the lady that did scan. All those are here, and we're going to start mounting it and have them put it in the town center so we can acknowledge a lot of things people in the University Park that I found out about. My father was a World War II veteran, wrote a book. He was known and presented by the president, and it was fantastic. We don't know those things, so we're going to start that in the village of University Park. And please submit these things of our legacies in University Park to my office and call John Townsend, and we'll be proud to post that information. Special prayers to Ms. Williams. Suffering right now, she said that she's doing better with the cancer, but the blood clots are really affecting her in all ways. Ms. Berry. You need to understand something, people. This is election year. And what it is not going to get better, it's going to get worse. And I'm sorry to say that, because that's the mentality and the structure that's happening right now. We have an obligation as legislators and policymakers to be able to understand language as well. You don't get up here to be babysitted. You're supposed to know exactly some of the rules and regulations, and if not, you refer to the village attorney for that, and that only. I don't think we need to be babysitted by it at all. You should have the ability and the knowledge and the know-how to do that. As far as the school board, let me go back maybe 10 years ago when a comment was made at the school board, and I didn't like it. I thought it was very derogatory to our people. And I made a statement and a request for University Park cameras to start being there, and since that day it is. And to you, Trustee Oscar Brown, I beg to differ. I was not on the Education Advisory Committee, however, I would always come back with a report of what's going on in the school district. I always let you know what you should do, what you should not do. Please respect my time and my place. Awesome. Okay. Also, this May 22nd, the school district will have a meeting here to let you know what's going on, and I ask everyone to please attend that May 22nd here at the 90 Center. There are flyers and brochures out right now. Mr. Payton, previous to him, there was another person who held the position, and they didn't see the interest of having an education advisory committee, and it did not exist. He did finally get it together, and he has obligations, and we can't really stretch ourselves too thin, but he did do it, and it was quite a few people that were very, very interested in it, and they started, and it was a letdown. I got 5 phone calls stating that they were really hurt because of the things that they had to contribute. Some were scholars, PhDs, and some were from Governor State, some were from surrounding areas, and they had written books, and they were really charged about it, and it was taken away. So I thank you for your efforts, Mr. Payton, in that alone. Before someone else keeps saying something about a newspaper, I was in the newspaper, let's not play games here. Someone called me, it was a quote. I did not say that. So you don't understand, I did not make that statement. They asked me a question, and as far as $100,000, they got that from their own. They did not get it from the newspapers, do all type of writing, and they have the right. I saw an article in the newspaper the other day with President Obama kissing Kennedy, and that wasn't true. So just because it's written does not make it factual. And Applied Systems, I agree with Trustee Griffin. That was a terrible TIF agreement, and that was what was being done at the times. We were literally giving the village away with 30-year TIF agreements, that we would never see anything to fruition, but I didn't see anyone yelling about that then, and a lot of other things that was done, nobody yelled. But it's it's a personal attack. Yes, it is. It's personal. I've heard so many things out there about, I think it's disrespectful. You don't have to like me. It's one thing to have power, it's another to have position. I have the position. Understand it and you respect it whether you like it or not. It is what it is. I am the president of the Village of University Park. And I do sign the paperwork. And I do represent this village extremely well. And I'm proud of what I do for this village. It is extremely important what you do and how you do it. It's very important how you position yourself. It's very negative when you go out among other crowds and speak poorly of the people that you work with. They will not respect you. When you think you're doing something, you're not. My life has been threatened, and I'm going to make the statement that when I am attacked personally, verbally, and if I have to have someone to protect me, and you notice it's not being done here, I will pay. Someone is going to pay for my protection. I do not take threats lightly, not at all. The things that are being done out there, I have representatives in there and calling me, and it's not good. And we are personally attacking certain people. All this is not what you think it is up here. People want to play games. We're not going to play games. We're not going to do anything illegal. We're not going to put punning money in our pockets. That's what I've been told. You don't want to make any money. You don't want to work. And no, I will not do that. Not the God that I serve. I'm not going to do that. I make money back going to a job every day. Either find one or do something else. As far as the etiquette program here, in University Park, I was honored to be a part of one in Chicago Heights. They had a culinary school with young people, and I was a guest speaker there, and it was really, really nice. And he asked what we're doing here in University Park. So our children will be doing something this summer. I will start an etiquette class here in University Park. So you'll see some information on that as well. Our plan commission to be respected, and I appreciate Ms. Williams for all her compassion and things that she does. These are people that really love what they do for no charge at all. And you have to understand her compassion, and I do respect it, and I thank you a lot for that. Excuse me. And you talked about garbage running around. Some of the people haven't even paid their garbage bill for years. And they're not paying them, so therefore, I've seen them, they're taking their garbage somewhere else and overloading them illegally. And they need to get together with that and see and find people. For a while, we were doing that, seeing the garbage that was on the stray and on the side of the highways. We would go in there and we asked people to go in there and see if they could find a name or an address and find that particular person that would take their garbage other places. And that's really what's happening as well. And we should really think about things, what we do, and respect each other's persons, what we say, how we say it, because tomorrow's not promised to you. You can die tomorrow. And there was a young lady, I've shared that story, and we should think about that. She was very, very negative to someone, and I told her, well, we're going to have a baby shower. She said, I hate her, I don't care about that. I said, don't say that, that's too harsh. The next day, that evening, the lady went to pick up her child, and she went through the window, and she was pregnant 8 months. We did not have a baby shower, needless to say. And I went back to see that lady, and I said, you know what? She said, I'm not going to the shower with you, talk to me about that. I said, I know you're not. She's dead. Now you're left with that in your conscience and your walk with God. So be very careful of the words you say to people, about people, and around people. We're nothing without the power of God, and I know who I am and whose I am and who I serve. So nothing can touch me. Nothing and nobody. I know what I serve. And this Mother's Day was a very sad one for a lot of us. To see and to look that there's no mothers anymore. And as one thing an artist said, if there were no women, they would kill the population. If there were no women, we could hurt the economy. So think about that the next time you disrespect a woman and call her out her name. She is a fantastic person. As my pastor said, women are much smarter than men. And I love that. And with that tonight, I would ask you to have a safe trip journey home. I love you and you can't do anything about it. A motion for adjournment, please. Yes, I'm sorry, we do have to go to executive session.
Okay.
Move to executive session.
Second.
Yeah, the motion should be to move to executive session to discuss collective bargaining. Is that the only?
Collective bargaining and pending lawsuits.
It's collective bargaining and pending litigation, and the board will adjourn at the end of the closed session without returning to open session.
Thank you very much, sir.